I'm visiting with Bob Everson. He's a candidate for mayor of Mitchell. Bob, why are you running for mayor?
Well, I think Mitchell's a great place to live and raise a family. I grew up here, moved back here about 27 years ago to raise my family. My kids are all grown now and gone, and I'd like to see Mitchell continue to be a great place to live and raise a family and continue to move forward in a positive direction.
Bob, what special skills or knowledge would you bring to the office?
Well, I'm an engineer, so I'm good at analyzing things and looking through all the data to get down to the nitty gritty and find out or make determinations on what I believe would be the way to go with items and processes and whatever we're doing in the city government. There's not a lot of gray area for me. Things become black and white, and they're black and white because I search out and figure out down to the little details what we need to do. I've run projects for the majority of my life, being an engineer, overseeing mechanical design on building systems. And when I started, I was actually a resident engineer with the Department of Veterans Affairs, overseeing construction projects. So I know what it's like to have to be within a budget and stay within a budget and work with a budget.
Bob, describe your management style.
I am not a micromanager. I believe you hire good people to work with you, and you rely on those people to do their jobs, and that's the way I would intend to keep it. I don't want to be standing over people saying, hey, you need to do this, you need to do that. Micromanaging just doesn't work well makes disgruntled employees, and I don't see that as a good option for running a city.
Regarding the Lake Mitchell Improvement Project, where is that on your priority list and why?
Well, the Lake Mitchell improvement, it has to be high on the priority list. I mean, it's a gem for our city. It really is. It draws people into Mitchell. It used to be our water source. Maybe our water source in part again someday. We don't know, depending on how we grow. Currently, we've already met the allotment of BY water, so we have to look at that also. But Lake Mitchell, I think more people use Lake Mitchell than they realize they use Lake Mitchell. It's not just the people who live out there along the lake, but people fish there, picnic there, hike there, bicycle there. We have some great bicycling trails around that lake now. And we need to keep it in good working order for people. By that I mean, you don't want to go out there and have a smelly, unsightly lake area for people to recreate around. So we need to do something with it. I think we've taken the first steps in that process by getting an engineering firm on board. We'll have to see what they come up with. I'm a little skeptical as to the costs they've thrown into this thing initially, but that's what we've hired them for. We want to use their expertise for that.
What have been your sources of information regarding the Lake Mitchell project?
I've had a conference call with South Dakota Department of Natural Resources, 4 or 5 engineers with them, and discussed Lake Mitchell and what we currently are doing with the lake and what has been done with the lake. I come to find out DNR has actually been working on the lake for somewhere in the neighborhood of 15 to 20 years, mostly in the watershed upstream, and they haven't had a lot of money to do things with the lake. So most of their work is focused on what's coming into our lake, which is a high priority. I've also discussed it with other engineers who have designed similar projects to what Lake Mitchell seems to be based on what FIRE, the engineering firm that was hired by the city, has come up with in their preliminary reviews. And, it points to we're in the right direction and we need to do something. Interestingly, Albert Lee, Minnesota, which is a town a little bit bigger than Mitchell, has very similar situation with a lake. Fountain Lake in their city was the same type of situation. DENR in Minnesota declared it a polluted lake due to the phosphates in the lake, and engineering firms went in and dredged it and are working to clean up upstream of that. And I found that interesting. I had some conversations with the designers on that project as well.
Bob, what are your thoughts regarding placing the final decision on Lake Mitchell improvement in the voters' hands?
I think that's got to happen because, like I said, I'm a little skeptical on what we've come through with the estimates on the work. And it's going to be millions of dollars, obviously. We're not gonna avoid that. That's going to be the elephant in the room for a while, I think. And if we're going to spend that much money on that, the city has to be on board with it. I mean, by the city, I mean the people, the citizens of Mitchell need to be on board with that, and they need to have a say in it and how we progress with it and what we do. So I would see that as probably going to a vote of the city.
Mitchell Main Street and Beyond is working toward establishing a business improvement district to raise funds towards improving the downtown Main Street area. What kind of financial help do you believe the city should offer to move the project ahead, or should the city steer clear?
Well, I think the city has a duty to help improve downtown. How do we do that? Well, we've started the bid process. We put a bid in place for those people to help them get low interest loans and the like. And I think that will be a big bonus to downtown. I hope it is. I hope we help get business owners to want to improve the downtown. I think with a good downtown, the city will grow and the city will become stronger and hopefully attract more people to live in, young people to live in Mitchell. Interestingly, before I moved back here, I lived in Sheridan, Wyoming, and they had a very strong downtown, and they still do. It's very vibrant, a lot of small shops and people making that a destination for their shopping and whatnot. So I would like to see that happen here in Mitchell. It would definitely be a boon, I think, to the city. As far as how we finance that, hopefully they can, the bid helps do that. We'll have to look at any other options that can come up or can be improved upon by the city.
What are your thoughts regarding improving the city's infrastructure over, let's say, the next 5 years?
Well, that has to happen. I mean, let's face it, we've got some very, very old infrastructure in a lot of older parts of town, as do all cities in South Dakota. Infrastructure is one of those things that nobody sees until it falls apart on you. I think we went through last winter with 5 or 6 water main breaks. That's not acceptable. That's emergency repairs then. It's important to keep a good infrastructure. I, as an engineer, know that. I'm not a civil engineer, so I don't work in that area, but I, experience in working with civil engineers. So we need to stay atop of the infrastructure. We need to work on the infrastructure, and we need to improve the infrastructure. How do we do that? Well, of course, it costs money, and we have to budget for it. And over the next 5 years, hopefully, we can budget enough to take care of the bad areas and get a handle on what has to happen with the rest of the city.
Bob, how do you feel the city is doing in setting spending priorities, and what would you propose to improve it?
I don't think we're doing too bad with setting spending priorities, in my opinion. I guess at this point in time, the lake's going to be something we have not budgeted for. We're going to have to look at that. That's why I believe we're also going to have to look at sending that out to a city vote so that citizens of Mitchell can have their say in it. I think it's important for the parties involved, the Lake Committee, the Park and Recs Committee, the City Council, the mayor, whoever's elected, to all get together and put it to the city as to the benefits and why we should be doing this, why we shouldn't be doing this, how we're going to fund this, where we think the money should come from. People aren't going to be happy with increased taxes. I'm not. I hate paying increased taxes. I'm not going to advocate increased taxes. But when you do things as a city, it costs money, and the only source of income for a city is through tax dollars, whether it's sales tax, property tax, which mostly goes to the county and the state and the schools, and any other incomes or taxes we can use to fund our projects.
Bob, what are your thoughts on the state of public safety in the city of Mitchell?
I think for the most part it's good. We do have issues. Obviously, we've seen, we all read the newspaper, or a lot of us read the newspaper, and we see the drug busts that are occurring. I think that's happening across the state, though. I don't think it's something that's just here in Mitchell. We do need to take care of it. It does need to be addressed. I think we have a pretty good police force. Our police chief, I have the utmost confidence in him. Our fire department, I have the utmost confidence in them. It's a tough subject all around, and the bad thing is once people get hooked on some of these things, it's very difficult for them to get away from them, and that generates a market, and there's always somebody willing to fill that market, and it's just kind of a vicious circle, and we need to work on trying to resolve the issues.
What do you feel is the mayor's role in maintaining order and decorum during council meetings? And would you seek additional training for yourself and the city council to reach that goal?
Well, the mayor controls the meeting. He's running the meeting. His voice is only heard if there's a tie-breaking vote required by the mayor. The mayor needs to keep a level head. It needs to be a calm, collective meeting. Disagreements are inevitable. Everybody should be able to disagree. I spent 4 years in the military. Back then, the drill sergeants could insult you. You can't take things personally, and I don't. I've got a very level head. As I've said, I've been involved with a lot of construction projects in which you sit down and not everybody agrees on what has happened or what's going to happen, but you can't get hot-headed about it. You just resolve the issues with a level head and talk about it and work through your differences, and everybody should be able to do that without tempers flaring.
Bob, is there anything else that you'd like to share with us?
I'm just looking forward to serving the people of Mitchell. I think I'd be a good choice for the mayor of Mitchell, and I've got leadership qualities. I've got experience in running large projects and the like, and I think I can do Mitchell good.
And that's Bob Everson, a candidate for the mayor of the city of Mitchell.